Well, good afternoon and welcome to our live presentation of storytelling from the Ramayana. Now, as we discussed last week during the episode number 1, we understand from the development of certain scientific knowledge, including quantum physics and current scientific development and knowledge, that we see that there is a material world and that there is an anti-material world. Of this is something that scientists are becoming more aware of now. But these two kinds of energies, the material energy and the anti-material energy, were discovered a long time ago. This is not something new, it's just that now there is perhaps the promulgation or the expansion of the scientific process of hypotheses, gathering data, analyzing of this data, coming with conclusions or solutions to problems that were presented to humanity. Basically, that is the scientific process. But nonetheless, the sages from ancient India, the sages that live in the Himalayas, they were already aware of this scientific process, but they tuned to this scientific process through a different system. So, like for instance, we had the great mathematician Ramanujan. You may have heard about Ramanujan, who was discovered as a great mathematician in India, and he went to Cambridge and even became a fellow of the Cambridge Academy, of the Royal Academy of Mathematics, and he was an amazing mathematician. He was able to calculate any number in his head. I mean, he was extraordinary. And some of his formulas have been widely used by mathematicians all over the world for many, many years. In fact, some of the calculations on the expansion, breadth, and size of the black holes are still being used today. And so Ramanujan claimed and said that he got his knowledge of these mathematical formulas by sitting in a temple in South India in front of a goddess who we know was Lakshmi, the consort of Lord Narasimhadev. Basically, he was a devotee of Lakshmi Narasimha. So Ramanujan was getting all these formulas, mathematical formulas that were given to him through intuition. Okay, now intuition. So how can we quantify that? How can we scientifically prove that? So when he went to Cambridge at the university there, they kind of asked him and worked with him in order to develop these mathematical formulas to find out where they came from and how to develop mathematical formulas and bring it into the Western world. So anyway, so that's a different kind of knowledge. That's a different knowledge that it is out there and that we can find through a different information other than the material world, okay? So the material world, or the 102 elements of matter that are taught in the high schools and the universities, this is just in reference to the material gross elements: water, earth, fire, ether, which divide themselves into oxygen, hydrogen, nitrogen, cadmium, chloro, and so on. So there is so many material elements. But beyond that, there is the mind. Then there is the mind, the intelligence, and the ego, which form the subtle body. And we know that they exist, although we may not have any means to prove that, because we cannot perceive them with our senses. We cannot see the mind, we cannot hear the mind, we cannot touch the mind, but we know that the mind is there. Everybody has a mind. All living entities that have thinking, feeling, and willing, they all have this mind. So that is part, now entering into more subtle forms of energy. And so if you get into even more subtle of these forms of energy, then you will get into the actual anti-material energy, which is the spiritual energy. And the spiritual energy is the basis of any kind of achievement in the world. Anything, music. I mean, where does music come from anyway? I mean, what is music all about? What are the ragas? Where does Johann Sebastian Bach got his information in order to compose such beautiful music, like Air on the G string, which we play with our other musical group, or just a Joy of Man's Desiring, or this beautiful music, or Vivaldi's the Four Seasons. They're just extraordinary pieces of music. And how did these composers compose that music? Because of their devotion, because of their feeling of trying to glorify that anti-material world energy, which is the superior form of energy. So you can understand here that the material energy is always temporary, because it always is being destroyed at all times. The material energy, our bodies composed of these material elements, are being destroyed at every moment. Cells die and other cells are being reborn. And eventually our beings pass and then they're being reborn again. So it's a continuous cycle of life. But the anti-material energy does not decay. It's not being destroyed, and it's always eternal. It always exists. So these stories from the Ramayana or the Mahabharata, or this kind of music that we are trying to expose here, they are like glimpses of the spiritual world, glimpses of this spiritual or anti-material energy that exists. It's like a different dimensional universe. There are different universes. The universe that we perceive right now, 3 dimensions plus time, is just one of them. But there are others. There are other universes. And we can access those universes through certain stories, but also through certain chants, musical or sound vibration. Anyway, let's start now with these beautiful stories from the Ramayana, and also some of this beautiful music that we have here for you. The introduction of the music that we have created for this Ramayana is based on a very beautiful raga created by Vilas, the son of Tansen the Great, and this is the Vilashkani Todi. So, but we just took some excerpts from Vilashkani Todi and we made our own interpretation of it. The Ramayana. With the passing of the years, the boys excelled in their studies, particularly in the science of archery, and they grew tall and virtuous and strong. Ram was deeply loved by the people, and resembled the moon in a clear sky. Now, one day, the sage Vishwamitra arrived unexpectedly. He asked that Ram and Lakshmana went with him to his ashram. Vishwamitra initiated them as his disciples, giving them mantras which would protect them from hunger and thirst and bestow unlimited strength. In the evening twilight, after receiving his mantras, Ram glowed like the autumn sun. There, the brothers served their guru, and the three of them slept peacefully beneath the glittering stars. Outside the city of Mithila, a large ceremonial ground was being prepared for King Janaka's festival. King Janaka had a beautiful daughter named Sita. She was so famous for her beauty that the city of Mithila had once been besieged by kings fighting to win her hand. Early the following morning, Ram and Lakshmana left their camp to gather flowers for worship. By chance, they wandered into the royal garden, and there came upon Sita and her companions. Rama and Sita saw each other and fell in love. When they came back to the ashram, Sage Vishwamitra explained, King Janaka has a bow which neither man nor God can lift. He keeps it in his court and has promised his daughter's hand to the one who stringed it. Come with me and I will show you the bow. Together they went to the court of King Janaka. King Janaka received the boys and Sage Vishwamitra. King Janaka said, the bow originally belonged to Lord Shiva. If you can string it, I promise you the hand of my beloved Sita. King Janaka ordered the bow to be placed in the middle of the festival ground. It was kept in an iron chest, mounted on 8 wheels. Hundreds of men were needed to draw the chest out to the center of the ground. As news spread of the king's invitation to Ram, a great crowd assembled. The chest was opened to reveal the great bow. On a sign from Vishwamitra, Ram stepped forward, grasped it firmly, saying, this venerable bow that belonged to Lord Shiva is now in my hand. Without effort, Ram lifted the bow and tossed it on his palm. He deftly strung it and bent it back into a great arc until suddenly, with a great explosion, the string broke. The sound was tumultuous and very powerful. It brought everyone down to the floor. King Janaka declared, Sita is won! Sita is won! Ram has shown himself to be a man of inconceivable strength. My daughter, who is dearer to me than life itself, I now give to Ram. After this, Ram, Lakshman, and Sita Devi went to the court of King Dasarath and they brought him this news of their marriage. Through marriage, we will join with ties of love. In celebration, King Dasarath gave costly gifts and thousands of cows in charity. Sacred fires were lit, and priests offered worship while intoning hymns from the Vedas. Sita Devi, dazzlingly beautiful and decorated with priceless jewels, was escorted by her father to take her seat before Lord Rama. Sita Rama, Rama, Hare Rama, Rama, Rama. Sita Rama, Rama, Rama. Now, King Dasarath was getting old, and seeing how well Rama was doing, he decided to pass control of the kingdom to Ram. At the moment when Bharat was away visiting his uncle, King Dasarath decided to make an announcement to the citizens of Ayodhya. So he went to the market square of the city and proclaimed, Hear ye, citizens of Ayodhya. I, King Dasarath, tomorrow I will proclaim my son Ram as king of Ayodhya. Everyone rejoiced and was busy making preparations for the great occasion. Only one person in Ayodhya was not pleased by the prospect of Ram's coronation. Manthara, the hunchback maidservant of Queen Kaikeyi. Manthara was fiercely loyal to her mistress. She ran to tell her the news and entered her chamber. Queen Kaikeyi was reclining in her bedroom. Kaikeyi, 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 wake up. Wake up. Kaikeyi, wake up. What's wrong, Mantra? Why do you wake me up from my sleep? Oh, my queen, wake up. While you were sleeping, King Dasarath has announced that tomorrow he will crown Ram as king of Ayodhya. Ah, Ram, king of Ayodhya? But that's good news, Mantra. Everyone loves Ram. Oh, you foolish woman, don't you understand? If Ram becomes king of Ayodhya, then your son Bharat will never have access to the throne, and you will become a maidservant of Queen Kausalya. Yes, Mantra. Yes, I understand. My son should be the next king of Ayodhya. But what can I do? What can I do, Mantra? Tell me. Kaikeyi, listen to me. Remember when King Dasarath was wounded and you saved his life? Yes, I remember, Mantra, I remember. At that time, he offered you 2 boons and you said that you would ask for them later. Well, now you must ask for these 2 boons to be granted. First, ask that Bharat be put on the throne. Second, demand that Ram be banished to the Dandakaranya forest for 14 years. Yes, Mantra, I will do that. The queen put on all clothes and entered her chamber of wrath. Kaikeyi untied her hair and threw herself upon the ground, scattering her ornaments about her. Then she started crying, just like a viper waiting for its prey. Evening approached, and Dasarath came looking for his favorite queen. He found her in the chamber of wrath, sprawled on the floor. In dismay, he entered the darkened room. Kaikeyi, my beloved, what is wrong? Tell me, what's wrong? If you tell me, whatever you want is yours. O king, there is something I must have. Give me your word, I can have it, and I shall tell you what it is. My dear Kaikeyi, you shall have whatever you want. I swear it on my beloved Ram, without whom I could not live even for one moment. Hearing the king's promise, Kaikeyi made her demand. O king, the gods have heard your oath. The moon and the sun bear witness to your words. Now listen to me. Remember when I saved your life and you offered me 2 boons? Yes, Kaikeyi, I remember. Now, I wonder, if you refuse, I promise I will die. My first request is for Bharat to be installed on the throne in place of Ram. My second request is for Ram to be sent this very day to the Dandakaranya forest to live as a hermit for 14 years. No, Kaikeyi. Why are you doing this? Kaikeyi, without Ram, I will die. Kaikeyi, why? Why? You have given me your oath, O you weak king. Banish Ram, or I shall drink poison. Kaikeyi, I will give you whatever you want. Darkness fell, and the palace became silent. Dasarath lay unconscious as the long night passed. When dawn arrived, the queen, with angry determination, commanded Dasarath to send for Ram. Ram arrived with Lakshmana, and Kaikeyi spoke up. Long ago your father offered me 2 boons, and now I am claiming them. I have asked him to install Bharat on the throne in your place, and to exile you to the Dandakaranya forest for 14 years. Ram heard these words without flinching. If the king has promised you this, then I shall go to the forest this very day. Ram bowed before the weeping king and left the palace, taking Lakshmana with him. He went to say goodbye to his mother. After he visited Queen Kausalya, his intention was to leave immediately and to go alone, but first he had to tell Sita. What is wrong, my lord? You are pale and trembling. Oh, my beloved Sita, my father is sending me into exile and is giving the throne to Bharat. While I am gone, you must remain under the care of Bharat. Oh, my lord, don't speak like this, please. I am not staying here without you. In the forest, I will walk ahead, crushing the thorns on the path. Sita, but you have no idea what the forest is like. It is full of wild beasts. In wind and rain you search for food, while mosquitoes bite and serpents creep among the sharp stones. We are bound together, my lord. Either I live with you in the forest, or I will die without you. All right, come with me. Together we will give up all comforts and live in the forest on the order of my father. Now, be quick and get ready. The devoted Lakshman waited anxiously. Since childhood, he and Ram had never been separated. So it was decided that the 3 of them would go together into exile. When they heard the news, the people from Ayodhya wanted to go with Ram. They followed the chariot all the way to the city gates. The people were weeping. They were sad. They followed the chariot. They wanted to be with Sita and Ram. And King Dasarath, weeping, crying, he fell on the floor and died from a heartache. Jai Sita Ram, Sita Ram, Sita Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Sita Ram, Jai Sita Devi, Jai Ram, 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 Jai Sita Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Sita Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Sita Devi, Jai Sita Devi, Jai Ram, Sita 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 Devi, Jai Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Ram. Well, thank you for being with us here this afternoon. COVID-19, we are in quarantine. We are doing our seva, we are doing our devotions, our practice. We wanted to share this with you. Hope you can take this into your hearts. Meditate on these beautiful pastimes of Sita Ram. This was the conclusion of episode number 2. Episode number 1 was the birth of Ram. Episode number 2, that was the youth, breaking of the bow, the wedding of Sita and Ram, and the coronation, and finally the exile. On episode number 3, same channel, next week, still on quarantine, so we'll be here. We will present the stories in the forest. And we will end those stories with the appearance of Ravana, the demon Ravana, who is also a very important part, of course, very important character of the story. If you have ever gone to Bali, or if you have interest in some of the Balinese culture and you have seen a lot of the Balinese dance and art forms, a lot of the stories come from the Ramayana. A lot of the stories also come from the forest stories. And there's very famous story, dance forms in the Balinese dance world, especially like the golden deer dance and others as well. So if you go to Bali, you may have been already to that beautiful island and seen some of these beautiful stories that we are telling right